Hello, and welcome to another episode of Between Two Pints. I'm your host, Rob, and with me today is Jessey Nelson, filmmaker, content creator, comedian, actor, there's so many hats.
Yeah. I mean, filmmaker, sketch comedian. Let's go with that.
Sounds great. So I brought you on today, and we're going to talk about some of your short films that are coming up. And that's really exciting. You also do many of those people watching who know us, which is probably the only people who will watch this. They know you from Smashed Potato Kids.
Mm-hmm.
I know you from my friend Mike Lee. You guys work together on a lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
And we work together on Order of the Black Eyes.
We did, yeah.
So you always want to make sure we pronounce every syllable of that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. I mean, unless you want to, give the joke away, but
no, we don't want to.
Yeah.
And you joining me today with my favorite soda, which is Zevia.
Yeah. Look at this.
Creamy root beer.
Let's get fucked up on stevia. Am I allowed to swear?
Yes.
Okay. This is a grown-up podcast.
It is a grown-up podcast. Do
the pour?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
So we're going sugar and alcohol free, which is great. And you were asking, I buy these from Costco in the Mingler pack. It's like $20 for 20 or something.
Yeah. Awesome.
It's nice to meet someone else who appreciates it. Yeah, absolutely.
Eye contact or else 7 years of bad sex. We all know this.
And a lot of missing eye contact from me.
I don't make eye contact on purpose, so I don't have to have sex.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't have to put myself in that situation.
That's great. That allows you more time to focus on filmmaking.
Exactly.
We were actually talking about this. Where I'd been on a date with someone recently where they were really negative about all this film stuff, and I realized if we'd gotten into a serious relationship, it would have probably slowly
ruined your life.
It would have made me drift away from the things I love.
Absolutely. I think love does that. Love takes you away from the things you love instead of brings you closer to it. I mean, that's the way I live my life.
Wow, that's terrifying. I got to rethink a lot of my
from that part of love. Yeah.
So let's talk about one of the short films you were telling me about. It's Chimera's Ghost.
Chimera's Ghost.
Chimera's Ghost.
Yeah, it comes from the term chimerical.
Okay.
Which means which is like a synonym for imaginary beast.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a film about a young kid who's struggling with his sexuality, who basically is living under the house of an oppressed religious mother, and he's manifested his feminine and gay side of him that his mother has basically told him to kill off based on religious beliefs, and he's manifested that into an imaginary ghost who's his best friend. And so the movie is about him trying to learn to love that side of him.
Wow, that's so much deeper than anything else I've ever made.
It's the most poetic thing I've ever made. So,
that's really. Yeah. So who were the other adults involved in this project, so to speak, like producer, writer, or people?
So basically, I had teamed up with Feed the People Productions, and it's a couple production company, Sal and Marie, and they've helped me produce my last 3 films. I actually met them through one of my writing partners. They were VFS students, and ever since they came on board, they've just been, hustlers and big fans of my vision and helping me tell that story. And so I think when you get those kind of people to work with, you keep them close.
Oh yeah.
You bring them back project after project. Funny, I don't even think they were available originally for this film project. And I had we had a previous producer working on it, and then it didn't work out. And then they were free, so they jumped on, and great opportunity for them to come back and work with us. So
I find good people to produce with is hard because it's it's just people that you can jam with in a way.
Yeah.
Where anything they say is usually a good suggestion or a good point to worry about. One of my friends was helping with a shoot, and me and him were talking about the rain 3 days in advance, and we were both on the same page, which at least reassured me that I wasn't panicking unduly.
Yeah, I mean, producing is a different beast, right? And you have to really find people that are willing to. You got to vibe with them, you got to work well with them, but they have to be stoked on your project too, because you can kind of tell if there's creative differences and whatnot, that they're not there for the same reason you are, and it's part of building your team.
Yeah.
Christina Adams is also a producer on the project, and she works with Run and Gun. She was actually the first person I asked to be part of it, and
I think I've met her. Yeah, I've met a few of the Run and Gun people. Everybody in Run and Gun is amazing.
Yeah. So it was great to have her on board. I just I wanted to put together a super team for this project, and so it kind of started there, and then. I'm allowed to burp in them.
No, unacceptable. Oh my god.
Oh, that stevia.
Done.
That stevia fucks me up.
It's super carbonated.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So Christina Adams, blah, she was the first one to get on board and help me build the project. So yeah.
And now you were showing me some clips of like an animated child. Was that from Chimera's Ghost, or am I allowed to
No,
talk about that?
it's kind of funny because like some of the projects that I pitch, like most of my films are the themes are about like child abuse and people going through these types of things.
Is there
And then
something you need to
sometimes
talk to
you
me
might
about,
think
Jessey?
you can't figure out what side of that I'm on when you see my projects. But I believe that all children should be as safe as possible,
Yes.
believe it or not. But that film is called Thicker Than Blood.
Okay.
And it's actually funny. It's a run and gun film we made that didn't even make it to the finals, but we got audience choice and people loved it. So we decided to spend some more time on it, do a director's cut, and it's finally coming out. But you will see that in this film that there's children doing things that children should never do. But it was very clear to them and their parents what they would be doing in this film. I don't want to give too much away as the film is just making its festival release soon, but it was one of the most fun projects I've ever made, and everyone that was part of it had a blast, even if they tell you they didn't.
That's fair. Now, okay, here's the movie questions because I can. What's the log line?
What's the log line? Okay, so Chimera's Ghost, or for both?
Yeah. So
okay.
these were both of these films were the ones that we were talking. I wanted you to talk about, correct?
Yeah, totally. So Chimera's Ghost is after living under the roof of an oppressed religious mother figure, a boy manifests a boy struggling with his sexuality to be his true version of himself to his mother, decides to this is always tough. This is something I need to work on. Yeah. But he a boy living under a religious household, struggling with his sexuality, decides today's the day he's going to come out to his mother and reveal who he truly is. Whether it hurts her or not.
Oh my God, that's
there we go.
That's not light at all.
How about that? Yeah,
that is not. That is a lot to take on. And now you said it involves sort of imaginary friends.
Yeah, so it's like the idea is, I've been kind of obsessed with the idea of creating like imaginary monsters from childhood trauma, and like how would that monster represent the mental illness state or the trauma that person went through and the inspirations that they had growing up. What was their safe places? Like what were the things that they used to protect themselves, to essentially protect themselves against like the real life monsters they're facing, abusive fathers, mothers, anyone else who tries to mess with them, or oops, my chin. Well, yeah, and whatever, whether it's war, like I like the idea that these stories could be told all over the world. So I'm just telling the ones that are close to me. My first film that I did with Crazy Eights was about what if I could save my father with an imaginary monster.
Wow.
And then this one I teamed up with a queer writer from In Focus Film School, Kai Watts, and we came up with a story ourselves about like what if we could tell the most terrifying coming out story.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing about that is like, not knowing what it's like to come out, because I haven't yet, but I am now. Hey, everyone, but the idea that if your mother or father will never accept you, and you have to tell them. I know I have friends that are still struggling with this. Like can't be their true selves. I'm like, once he told me that, he's like, yeah, it's the scariest thing like a human queer person can do is like tell the person that won't accept them that they are queer. So I was like, let's embody that and tell that story.
That is not a small undertaking. I do silly stories about male models who think they're too smart. But now, so what was the other one? That was the blood one?
Yeah, so Thicker Than Blood is a much more serious film. So that film, we wanted to tell the story of a dark underground Maury Povich story. And the idea is, what if the show was happening inside the studio and it was one of those like you're not the baby daddy type stories? And what we did was we paired that up with a King Solomon story. There's a story about I might be getting this wrong, but the idea is that when there was like a child, and if two mothers couldn't agree which mother was the one of the child, then the King Solomon would threaten to cut the baby in half.
It was actually an ox.
Okay, do you know the story?
You made it much darker with the child.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's wild.
So our version of it is what if they were on this show and then nobody claimed the baby? So then if the father wasn't there to claim the baby, they would cut the baby in half live on television.
Wow,
So the story is about a father trying to make his way into the studio because he feels deep in his plums that he is the father of that child, and he
Wow.
fights his way all the way to the show.
That's incredible. That's also really a great idea.
Yeah, right?
That's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
And now how long is that one?
That one's like 7 minutes. It's tight, but it's action packed.
Where did you get the location? Tell me.
So my brother went to BCIT
Mhm.
for the film and television program, and then I never went to film school, but I was always in his I was always acting in his projects and whatnot. When he graduated, we decided to like get the team together based on the people that like he went to school with, and that's kind of how we started Smashed Potato Kids, actually. But with this project, we decided to go back to BCIT and say, hey, could we collaborate with some of your students and make a run and gun? And then maybe you would let us use the location.
Ooh.
And they gave it to us for like nothing. The insurance cost us a lot of money, but other than that, we rented out and we got the whole TV and film campus to film in. So we had all these rooms, like all
That's
this
exactly
space.
what you need to film your project.
Exactly. So we were able to, and they already had a talk show on the set, like a set built for talk shows. So it looks beautiful. It looks way more expensive than it has any.
Then you had the budget.
Exactly. So with that in mind, that's why I really wanted to spend more time to get it to where it could be like the best version of this film, is because it looks like way more expensive than it is.
Well, and I don't know if I'm allowed to ruin this, but you were showing me some stuff you've done with AI, because you're kind of an expert on AI film stuff.
Not what's an expert? I don't know. I'm very interested.
Yeah.
Say that.
No, well, I mean, as someone who I took a course recently on AI and was like, wow, all the stuff me and my friends are doing are way more advanced than what this course is teaching, and and then you're way more advanced than that. So
whatever.
But like, can I talk about what you showed me?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
You had an infant doll because you're a responsible person. You don't want to use a 6 months old baby or couldn't get one.
Yeah.
But you made it look real.
Yeah. So, again, after putting this movie together, when you do a director's cut, you're kind of like, oh man, if only we had like a real child for like 2 seconds.
Yeah. Totally unacceptable. Killing me.
To establish that it's a real baby. I think we learned this from Everything Everywhere All at Once. They talk about how in the scene where she punts the dog and she's like throwing it around, whipping around, she's like, if you show a real dog for like the 5 seconds, people are gonna be like, oh my god, why are you fucking up that dog?
Yeah, but it's obviously
exactly. So we're like, oh man, if we could only make it look like real for the first part, and like I'm telling you, it was like a cheap doll that we painted green. That had an umbilical cord stuck to it. And so we were like, what if we could just make it look alive for a little bit? And like, honestly, like I made this film 2 years ago. And from the time that it took to finish the film, trying to go through VFX artists and finding out how much it would cost. And like, I'm going to be honest, I don't even think they would make it look as good as what I showed you.
Dude, what you showed me was wild.
Yeah.
Like it was some of them, but I also get it. Like I'm seeing what people are making with AI video and stuff.
Yeah,
that's exactly what you could use it for.
And it took a day of me like talking with VFX artists, and I find funny sidebar. I feel like I was getting catfished by VFX artists all day. I don't know if you know this, but what they do is they put a hot girl as their picture, and then they give it a name like Margot Robbie. And then you're like, oh, sick, I'm about to get on VFX meeting with Margot Robbie. And then it's an East Indian guy, or it's a guy from a different country, and he doesn't even want to come up. He's like, oh, no, that's my assistant. And I'm like, no, it's not. But you got me. You got me 5 times today. You got me. And I noticed, and I like started going down, and I'm like, what? Like Stevie Smith. And like, they're all like first names and like really beautiful girls. And I'm like, where are these girls? Where's this VFX house?
They're in AI. They're in AI land.
Exactly. But anyway, so I wanted to do like the artist thing and like get in touch and find out how much it was going to be. And like, I spent $2,700 on this film in total. And I was like, they were going to charge me like $5,000 for this shot.
Wild.
And I was like, I don't have that kind of money. I just want to get this film done. And then me and my brother were like, all right, let's just see what we can do with AI now. And then we went through a few programs, and it was like, that's almost too real. Like, holy shit. So
it was really, and like, I mean, all I've been doing is making dumb stuff for Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And, like pictures, characters, little like things just to help like the imagination. But like I pay attention to the cooler stuff. And we're looking at training an image model on one of our actors for a short film, so we can have a fake historical career of him being a model.
That's very cool.
But like, your video thing is like, dude, it's so good. And it makes me like, cause like, you can buy like cheap Halloween masks, right?
Yeah.
But like, they don't move.
Mm-hmm. They can now.
Yeah, no, I'm like already thinking, cause like I've always had to do fantasy because I want to do science fiction, and monsters are a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can buy Halloween and I've seen like After Effects tutorials where it's After Effects and they're just making an eye blink. Because I saw where all they did is make the eyes blink on this mask like twice in a 10-second shot, and it looks totally alive. Like, your brain fills in the rest. But like what I saw with yours is like I don't even know what you could do, but it's incredible.
Yeah, it was blinking. It still had some of the creases as the doll, but like every other aspect of it, like the skin, like the eyeball, it's wild. And that didn't take long at all. So like once we sit down and actually I don't know.
Can you give me the like broad strokes of what you did to get that done?
Oh yeah. So most of these programs are better with like still images. So
Right.
you use like the final keyframe,
Right.
and then, or is keyframe, is that the correct term? The final frame.
Yeah, with the frame of it.
And you use that image, and then you kind of have to. And all I said was move the baby, move it, make it feel like a real baby with movement.
Yeah. And what service was that?
It's called Kling AI.
Kling AI. Yeah. And like, so you give it an image. Did you have to track the video in after? Like, did you have to track it into the camera shot after? Or
so this will be a question for my brother, who's the editor of the project. And like, this is where he was even like, it's not that simple still to put it in. I'm like, we'll figure it out though.
Yeah,
like,
no, tracking it's a little bit hard, but it's also like what I like, dude, if you gave me that animated baby, I could put it in a shot.
Yeah. Yeah. So you got the job.
All right.
Yeah, you're on now as a.
Oh, good Lord. That's so
But yeah, it's fascinating because like there's something about like the patience of like, you know, people sometimes are in a rush to get their projects out, and like when I just knew like this. Luckily, it was taking us a while. We've gone through so many other VFX artists to finish that film, and I was like, man, if we could just make this baby look good, this is gonna be me. This is gonna be me, baby. The stevia is fucking me up. And I was like, if we could just give it a little bit more time and get this baby looking good, that'll be like the final piece. Like, I don't believe films can be perfect.
No.
But once you have everything you have there's ways of finessing and getting as close to perfect with what you have.
Yeah.
And because of the AI technology and the time that we waited, like now we have basically a real baby in the film.
Well, I record a different podcast, Life in the Circus, that my friend hosts.
Oh, okay, cool.
And we were talking to a guy who he was like the DP on Star Trek Discovery,
okay,
which is all on a volume.
Okay.
And he said something that was really interesting that lines up with what you're saying. It's like, because we were asking like, are volumes the studio of the future? And he's like, no, you're not going to need a volume in 10 years. It's all going to be AI.
Oh, wow.
Because if you think about it, as long as there's like space in the shot and maybe some tracking markers or something, like AI will just fill it in.
Yeah.
Sure, it'll need some finessing,
mm-hmm.
but like, yeah, he's not wrong in that. Like, you know, as long as you're shooting with like maybe bare surfaces or something, like you won't need a LED screens. You just need something that's maybe prepared in a better way.
Yeah.
And like watching what you did with that baby, it's like I've always wanted to do science fiction, and like science fiction is so hard because how do you have futuristic cities? How do you have like ships? Unless I have a big warehouse I can build a ship in, like they did with Firefly.
Mm-hmm.
But now,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like,
and that's it. And the thing is, story is still king. You know? And the thing is, if like the emotional connection, like you watch a Marvel movie these days, and what makes us not want to watch is like it just feels like they wrote it to make money and not to connect with people. You know, and that's why we were talking about earlier about like A24 films and stuff like that, and like why I am so attached to those movies is like they're so human made, and even if there is in a science fiction world or whatever, like the story feels so close to the heart, and like as long as that should always be coming from the humans, you know, to tell these stories. But if you can use these tools to like spread the imagination and bring these ideas that I think it's just going to evolve and like take these things to the next level.
Yeah.
I do understand how people's jobs are at risk, but with new technology that always happens. And I think that the storytelling aspect should always come from humans though.
Well, and it's something interesting too, because you mentioned the Marvel stuff. Like I watched the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, and I didn't think it was the worst thing ever. Some people will say it's a crime against, but like the scenes I love the most were like the two of them on the boat, on his like family's fishing boat, like talking and like getting mad because like the Winter Soldier's hitting on Falcon's sister, or kind of, you know. And it's like that's the stuff that was like the best stuff in the series. Whereas
it's
like
relatable.
Yeah, but like
we've all been on a boat hitting on our friend's sister.
Pretty much, it's universal, right? But like all the political drama stuff was like, I'm more want to see like these heroes like in their lives, not this other stuff, which is what they're like, oh, well, demographics, this is what want people.
I think a lot of movies, like even when you look at like Terminator and any movies that had to do with like advanced technology, they're all predicting the future based on where the way things are going, or or it's their version of what they think the future will be like. And I think with that in mind, like the stories will evolve in that way as well. Now that we have these technologies that we predicted in our projects, what's the next step, and like what kind of stories can we tell around it? But it's always like those interesting perspectives within those stories that help us gravitate towards them. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. For me, it's a very exciting time. And again, like even being, I told you that I was one of the first finalists in the AI Film Festival a few years ago in New York City, and I'm already being like, oh man, I want to do another one. The cool thing about those festivals is the celebrities that are becoming part of the jury.
Oh wow.
Like when I went, Darren Aronofsky was there.
Oh wow.
And so he saw my film, and I got to, that was the prize for me. I was in an audience in New York doing something innovative, and he saw my film. Like that's the prize for me. But like this year, like, do you know Harmony Korine? Are you familiar with him? He did Spring Breakers.
Okay.
So he's huge into AI right now. He made a whole film that's all filmed through infrared cameras. And then there's like AI in some of like the villains in the film, like not very good AI, but it's like he's still doing it. And so he's one of the judges, and he did Kids. You know the movie Kids? He was the writer of Kids when he was like 19 years old. So he's like this, he's a guy that I grew up watching, and I'm like, he's a judge this year. Like, so like you have your chance of your work getting seen on these projects where people are still trying to figure out what these are. And like you said, an AI expert, you're calling me like some sort of AI genius, and you know that you're capable of doing so much more than what they're classifying as an expert. So imagine now taking what I know and making a film with AI tools there. This is all just for me to get those steps so I can, do this for the rest of my life. So if it helps me get ahead and then get to a place where they're going to give me a bunch of money and then I can pay people to use these tools, that's the way I see it.
That's incredible, man. I'm like, and now, so let's talk about that AI film, because I don't think we've addressed that.
No,
that was a shits and giggles film.
Yeah. So
what's it called?
It's called AI Artist.
AI Artist.
I literally wanted to slap the name AI Artist on a film.
Yep.
Well, what I'll say is that it actually originally was an anthology idea. The idea was called Bad Roommate, and I had written 3 other episodes of like bad roommate situations.
Right.
Then AI came out. And I started to like I was living with one of my my business partners, Phil, and I started using AI to like do violence on him. Like I was like, what if I could Frankenstein my tall, dark, handsome Serbian roommate? What if I Frankenstein him and torn his body pieces apart and then glued him back together with pieces of furniture? And I started to build this.
And then the FBI showed up at your house.
No, they didn't have that. It wasn't detecting things back then. You could. Well, this is when it first came out, so I was able to do whatever I wanted. And and so I was making these really dark images, and then I was like, okay. And then what do I look like as the AI artist? Like me behind my computer. I don't know if you remember. I used to do fucked up like shrimp fingers.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah,
like, which I like, because like I think that was the year I did a weird one too. It was all ADR'd. And it was really neat to see other people pushing the limits of like what's film. Yeah.
So I used all those in the film. Like you'll see that his character as a kid has shrimp fingers, and then they grow back at the end. Like that's part of the film. I was like, how can I use those details so people are like, oh my god, it's the shrimp fingers, or like, oh my god, like what is AI not allowing people to do? So yeah, the film is just about a guy who's like wanted to be an artist his whole life, and he's autistic, he's mute, and he basically wants revenge on anyone who's telling him he can't be an artist. So he starts to manifest violence towards them using AI, and then he does that, and then he does the violence in real life, and then he hides his violence in the AI.
That's incredible.
So that's the film. And my film was the only narrative story in the whole AI Film Festival. Everyone else is actually, and that's what's funny is like I didn't get any top prizes because people really wanted to see the lean in on the AI.
Right.
My film is a live action film that I used 5 different elements of AI. And there's one scene where he's like trying to figure out who he is, and it like balances between AI, practical, and just live action shots. And I wanted to show that because it's like this film is about working with AI. It's not about AI taking over. It's about how, if we work with these tools, how it can like take things to the next level. So that is,
which seems like the best, because I mean I've watched the documentaries on like True Lies where they're like, this is like a mix of practical and visual effects, and like that's how you get the best effects in film, is you mix a bunch of different things.
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, even in my latest film, Chimera's Ghost, I was telling you about this one really dark scene that we used, and we used a combination of practical and VFX. And I think that those things working together is like the best way to get like the results of what you're looking for. I mean, you could sometimes just do all practical, and I love a all practical film. I mean, I'm a huge fan of what's this, Cronenberg,
Yeah.
watching films. AI artist was heavily influenced by
I see that.
by The Fly and like those types of body horror films. So which is funny because that whole end scene is all practical, and people were kind of blown away by that as well. But yeah, I mean, if I can make it and it doesn't take too much time and energy. If I can make it, it doesn't take too much time and energy, then I will find a way. But like these tools are amazing to uh, when I'm at a brick wall and I need to knock it down and keep moving forward. Like it's helping me create some beautiful scenes.
Yeah, no, I well, even like because I've been working on this Lance Thunder pilot, which I'm sure everybody's sick of me talking about, but even just script notes
Mm,
where like, I would get a bunch of notes from Mike about like, and it was all listed by page, and then I
mm.
could like upload it into ChatGPT with the script and be like, and like, three different people's notes. I just upload it all, and I'm like, all right, let's go page by page, and it'll be like, hey, yeah, they said that this character needs to be nicer, so they probably need to change this line. And
Yeah.
it's just like, oh my God, it's like having an assistant. It's
Mhm.
not like it's doing the work for me. It's just at least making it easier and allowing me to focus on like get those notes processed, make the changes we talked about.
Yeah.
And like I've even heard of more advanced stuff where you like record meetings and you get
Mhm.
it to give you a summary of it takes the notes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've done some note taking where I'm so bad at taking it, but I'm just
Yeah.
getting the bullet points down, and then I've like literally put it in ChatGPT and just be like, "Can you make this in more professional and more structured
Yeah.
notes?" And then I share those notes with people, and I'm like, "Wow, it's like it hit all the points and like and then some." And what you're speaking of, it's like as somebody who's working really hard, working a full time job, trying to be a content creator full time, to get a now use ChatGPT as like a story, like a feedback source.
Yeah.
Like sure, we have friends that we can go to for that stuff, but like if you're trying to get it to a place before you even give it to them, like
Yeah. Or like it's
it's
1 a.m.
yeah, yeah, it's so nice to get a little bit of feedback. You can like even, and this is unfortunate. Like I have a friend that works for Coverfly that like is most likely going to be losing his job because now people can put their scripts in AI and be like, rate my script.
Mm.
How good is it doing that? I don't know, but it seems to be giving like some very solid feedback and telling you where there might be plot holes or areas that you could evolve from, or giving you a bit of feedback. And he's very aware of this, and he's like, but he's also using the tools now because he's like, I see the opportunity in this, and like, so it's good for certain types of things, but like it's just about when you get to certain obstacles and you're trying to keep moving forward. Like I try not to use it too much for my writing, but there are some times where I need it. Like I'll give you an example. I have a funny sketch coming out about what if energy drinks had missing children on it.
Mhm.
So I was like, I was coming up with some fun names for the energy drink flavors, like Where's Waldo watermelon and like missing Meredith mango, like things like that,
God.
right? And then I was like, okay, let's give me 10 more of these in the vein, and then it just like it pops it out, right? And when you're like trying to like that is a part of the fun sometimes, like coming up with these ideas, but at the same time you're doing so many things and you're just trying to get to the point where you're producing the content and making it.
Yeah.
These things can help move things along.
Oh,
Yeah.
for me, it's like I'd love nothing more than to be able to pay people to be like, "Hey, come up with some name suggestions for this character." Like we realized there was a Larry in a Lance Thunder script. His manager is Larry, and it's like you don't really want two names with L.
Right.
So I'm like, ChatGPT, can you like suggest a bunch of names? And like, I mean, I hate to say it, but Marty is what it came up with, and
Nice.
it's a great like it's a like skeezy manager who's taking financial advantage of his
That's a Marty.
agent. That's
Yeah,
a Marty,
yeah.
like and it was solved in 30 seconds.
Not a Marty McFly, but it is a
No,
Marty.
it is a Marty. Yeah, and it even gave me a last name, which I have in my notes, but it was perfect. And it gave me like 10, and like, yeah, 5 of them were not great, but
Yeah.
Marty was in there, and that's what I went with.
Yeah, again, I will say there's just certain things like we talked about. Like I don't need to be great at sending emails, but I know
Yeah.
the power of sending a great email. And so there's things like I'm thinking about, okay, I'm trying to get my film that I worked for 2 and 3 years on to make as great as possible, and now I want to give them the attention it deserves. How could I create a programmer email or message that's like powerful and I'm like it's well constructed? I still write my own version of it first. That's the thing. I
Yeah.
always write my
Just
own
make me
version of it.
sound smarter.
Yeah, and sometimes it is simple as that. Like have this sound professional, make sure it's intriguing. There's a hook. It's got it's got engaging dialogue. Get rid of all the unimportant points or anything that's been repeated, and then just make it give it strong creative integrity. Like you finesse it, right? And then you're like, then we can take that again, and then play around with it, and but it's incredible. It's like those things are not things that I want to spend days on or hours on. I just want to get the film to where it is, but like I'm not afraid to use these tools, and if it's going to get somebody to read that thing, it's clear, and they're going to be like, oh shit, because I got this, now your film is in, then I'm going to use it.
Well, and even for like making sure my instructions are clear. I mean, if you've ever had somebody get something wrong, like you're paying an artist or something for something,
Yeah.
and then they're like, oh, man, they screwed it up. And you read your email and you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what that says.
Yeah, my ADHD mind too. Like I write things wrong all the time.
Yep.
I'm always like getting into trouble where someone's like, "You said it this way," and I'm like, "No, I didn't." And I go back and read them like, "Fuck,
Yeah,
I did say it that way."
Yeah.
So sometimes, yeah, it is as simple as that. Now,
like, make sure this is clear.
yeah. Sometimes it is just like that too. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's excellent. So now we've talked about your films. We've talked a lot about AI, which we should probably like veer away from.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's
yeah.
a lot of people that hate us for saying this.
Totally.
But like, now, what is Smashed Potato Kids?
Okay.
Besides a delicious potato treat.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. Is the name itself did come from White Spot. We were at
It's gonna be
White Spot. It is. It's just the thing. I'm the Rick of the show.
Yeah.
You're the Marty. So I was we were at White Spot at Squamish Music Festival in 2014, the year Eminem played. We were waiting to go into Squamish, and we were at a White Spot, and I was with all my film friends, with Cody, my brother, who I started the company with, and we basically were like, we're going to get so smashed potatoes this weekend while sitting and eating smashed browns. And then my brother's like, yeah, we're the Smashed Potato Kids. And I'm like, that's it. So that's it. I don't know what it is, but it is it. So that year I took like all the email, the Gmail, the Instagram, the anything Smashed Potato Kids, I took it that year. And then it took us all the way till 2019 to actually put it to work. But essentially, we're a sketch comedy creative group that puts out, when we're super active, weekly content. We have now transferred into like the vertical style sketches while we started off doing long form, but we've been at it for about 5 years now. And we started it with me, my brother, Cody Nelson, and my business partner, Philip Zavanovich. And we started this sketch comedy group, and we've been making content ever since.
Now, what would you say is the main platform you launch your stuff on?
There's no main. It's whatever hits. And the funny thing about that is so what's great is now, because they're competing with each other, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, they are all now able to post videos in vertical format up to 3 minutes. But for a while, YouTube only was able to do 1 minute.
Oh.
And it kind of changes around, like what the guidelines are for the reels. But now we can do it across all of them. But we've had videos go viral on YouTube that did shit on TikTok. We've had them go super viral on TikTok and do not well on Instagram. So the thing is, we put them all out on all the platforms just because we don't know where our audience is yet. We would love to be YouTubers rather than TikTokers or Instagrammers. But I would say our Instagram platform has grown. Our TikTok and Instagram platform are similar. So we're in like the 30,000 followers for both. And then YouTube, we shot up to 10,000 subscribers this year. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Wow. And now we can talk about the Sketch Fest, as I helped, sort of helped with the last one.
You very much helped.
Yeah. So you got first. Yeah. Well, okay. We'll get to that. But like, the
lighting's not great, huh?
No, you want to hold it like this. You want to do it like that. No, next to like same plane as your face for focus.
Like this.
So like this. So like this. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Here, which one's the potato head?
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Who wore it better?
Yeah, so you were doing your second sketch. So let's talk about where the Sketch Fest let's talk about where the Sketch Fest came from.
Yeah, so I think one of the things as creators in the industry is you want to find a way to give back to the community. And I think growing with Smashed Potato Kids, one thing we struggled with, but also it was like something that empowered us, was we allowed people to come into our world and create. Like, we've made a sketch with you before that you've directed. And so we wanted to do that. But sometimes when you're trying to find your brand, it's tough creating with too many people because they don't know who's connected to it.
Yeah.
And so we struggled to be like a face, like who is Smashed Potato Kids? And so we're like, instead of maybe like allowing us to create all these different people's content, like what if we started a festival where they could come out and create sketches? Because like sketch is the most common content created online. Whether you think you're a sketch comedian or not, if anyone's doing something funny with their phone, even if they're just one actor talking to themselves, it's a sketch.
Yeah.
So we were like, it's so easy to film these things, and there's no Sketch Fest in Vancouver. And I think people correlate sketch with like live stage performances as well, which
Right.
that is what it is, and that's where it came from. Huge Kids in the Hall fan,
Oh
huge
yeah.
Saturday Night Live fan. It all
In living color.
yeah, in living color. It all started with live performances, and then along came Lonely Island with digital shorts and things like that. But sketch comedy content is also a filmed medium. And
Yeah.
so we're like, what if we just started a festival where people could bring their sketches and then we celebrate their work? And the first year was very successful. We almost sold out the Rio Theater. I think we got like 30 submissions for our first
Incredible.
year. That's great.
That's
And then
great.
this year we doubled submissions. Again, very close to selling out the Rio Theater. The big step up for us this year was we got some celebrity judges on board,
Ooh.
and we got like our sponsors were significantly increased from
I
last
think I
year.
saw it was
Yeah.
quite the like potato sacks of prizes.
Yeah. We raised basically about $10,000 worth of prizes this year.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and we did that all on our own without like ever doing this before. We just kind of reached out, and like luckily most people said yes.
That's exceptional.
Yeah.
Now, and then this year you saw that I'd printed a bunch of Oscar trophies.
Yeah.
For like a crew I was working with. I think I have one. Yeah, I have one of them over here. This is my karaoke trophy. If you ever come here for karaoke, you get to get this temporarily if you
Oh
sing
hell yeah!
funny.
Well, invite me, dude.
Yeah,
I'll slay.
absolutely.
I got my Eminem jacket on, so I
Ooh.
can rock that Without You or any Eminem song, to be honest.
Absolutely. And then you asked me to make a trophy, and I was like, I'm not sure. And I was like looking online, and I found a potato guy, and I found a trophy face, and then I printed it, and I was all really proud. I'm like, this is some extra material we were printing armor for,
Yeah,
like a black gold one. But then I printed it, and I sit back, I'm like, this thing looks like a fucking butt plug.
it does look like a butt plug, and
I am not.
there's nothing wrong with that because we're now the only Vancouver Film Festival that are giving butt plugs away to their winners. And, we need to normalize butt plugs.
Yeah,
They
no,
feel good.
I mean that's definitely something we can look at printing next year.
And we've been telling all the winners that they must give their trophies back next year to pass on to the next winners. So eventually they'll just be recycled butt plugs.
Yeah.
Moving on from person to person.
Well, what is it? That's that like poop transfusions or whatever that they have for people with like weird gut flora problems?
Exactly. It's actually very healthy for the gut.
Yeah. I mean, this is just the deluxe sized.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, beautiful work. We have the cutest trophies in the game now. All these things honestly make the festival that much more I don't know, legit, much more like official. Like when you have like good sponsors, you have like great judges, great sketches. This year we had some people compete from LA and the UK.
That's incredible.
So we went outside of Vancouver, which is what I'd like to do. As much as I want to highlight Vancouver, I want to let people know like we're somebody to be, a force to be reckoned with in the comedy scene. So I think like having like some of the judges we had this year, we had Black Noir from The Boys was one of our judges.
What?
Yeah, we had Andrea Jin, who's a Juno Award-winning comedian. We had the Platonic Friends, is a sketch group that has a sketch show on Crave, produced by Bruce McCullough from The Kids in the Hall.
Oh my God.
So this was our first year of just like asking people, will you be a judge? And they were all like, yeah, we'll be judges.
And I think I heard the Black Noir actor. He's from Vancouver.
Yeah. So he's a friend of the group. So we knew him beforehand. So it was really cool for him to say yes. But he's on one of the hottest comedy superhero shows. So we're like, and then this only sets us up for future opportunities when people see like who's said yes. They're like, oh, well, if you got those people, like we're on board, And I think it just shows like I'm not even kidding. Like 95% of people that we asked to be part of this event said yes. And it just shows like when you're putting something out for the community that's going to help them grow. And like, there's just the sketch Vancouver scene for comedy in general is pretty weak sauce. It's not what LA is. It's not what New York is. So I'm trying to we want to build on that. We want to create these opportunities and we think this is a big one.
Well, we'll need to make bigger and badder butt plugs next year.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm excited to see how these guys evolve, but they're fucking fantastic the way they are. They're so cute. I mean, I got him to print an extra one for me so I can have one. I didn't win anything. I bought this, which is how I get most of my prizes.
Hey, these were the most advanced one. Like I'm always trying to improve my printing, so these are actually better than the previous. And then this is the very first one. So because you have helped me with the printing, you can have the failed prototype.
Hell yeah, dude! This one's going in my asshole.
Oh dear Lord. And then I was making the terrible Lord of the Rings jokes where it's like, and then he made another that bound them all.
I won't understand this joke, Rob.
Oh wait, what?
I've only seen Lord of the Rings one time. And and it was recent.
Yeah.
And I don't need to ever see it again. So, and I hope I'm not offending you. I'm a
No, we're
huge
just gonna
movie
get a
guy.
posse together to kidnap you and make
I
you
haven't
watch
seen the
it.
Harry Potters.
I don't care about those.
Okay. But yeah, I'm also excited to see things like that when people show them to me. My good friend Max Lloyd Jones, he's obsessed with the film, watches it every year, mouths the words. He showed it to me, and I'm like, you know what? I get it, but it's not my. I'm more obsessed with Peter Jackson and his journey, because I don't know if you've seen his very first film. It's called Dead Alive. It's a
Yes,
horror film.
it's got a very creative usage of a lawnmower.
Yeah, and great practical effects.
Yeah.
It's super fun, but you would
Messed
never
up.
know that guy's gonna make Lord of the Rings
No.
one day. And if you watch my new film Thicker the Blood, you will see why I'm gonna make the next Lord of the Rings.
That's amazing. Did you see the party I had on Valentine's Day?
No, I wasn't invited.
I think everybody was invited.
Because I don't like love, isn't it?
Yeah, no.
Rob?
Well, no, it was an anti-romantic party.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, we went.
sick.
So The Hobbit is 3 movies.
Oh yes. Okay. Sure.
Well, okay, yeah. So for some reason they turned the shortest book into 3 movies.
Okay.
And it's like widely known and thought to be kind of terrible because there's all this extra crap in it.
Is it Peter Jackson as well?
It is, but
Okay.
he wasn't supposed to originally. It was somebody else, and they backed out. But fans have gone on and edited down into a 3-hour thing.
Okay.
And so we had a Hobbit watch party.
Okay.
Where we watched the edited version.
And how was that version?
It was incredible. Everybody was like because it feels super short.
Yeah.
Because it's so action packed, and they cut out all this extra dumb stuff you don't need. Mostly like love stories, actually.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. So
I hate the love part.
well, you know, when
I
there's
can't relate to that part.
yeah, I just don't understand. Like, it's like there's a dragon being fought. Why do we need that? Like, if they don't put a dragon in every love movie, why should they put a love story in every dragon movie?
Yeah,
it's very frustrating.
Exactly. Unless do the dragons fuck?
That's a different.
Have you ever seen a dragon fuck?
I've played a Dungeons and Dragons for 20 years. I
And
do
do
not
they
want to
fuck
talk about
in
the things I've seen.
Dungeons and Dragons, because they don't in Game of Thrones. I haven't seen them fuck.
Well, so in
and now, wait, they lay eggs.
but they also can shapeshift into other forms, including people.
Ooh.
Yeah. So you could so in D&D you could have fucked a dragon. You wouldn't.
Hell yeah,
know,
dude! I'd fuck a dragon. I'd fall in love with a dragon.
Yeah.
That would change my whole love aspect. If
What color of the dragon?
Which color of the dragon would I fuck, or what color dragon do I want to fall in love with?
Because the color of the dragon is they're all defined as.
You trying to trick me into being a gay dragon
or an evil dragon?
An evil dragon.
Yeah.
A green dragon. What does that make me?
Super evil.
Hell yeah.
Acid.
Hell yeah.
Acid, swamp dragon.
I'd say I'm evil. I'm
Water.
in my Kanye West era.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you like the bad girls or the bad dragons.
Yeah, I'm just evil, and that's okay. I'll be that. I'm a bad guy.
So it's been amazing talking to you, and we definitely have to get you out again for more Smash Potato Kid stuff. But like, is there anything else we want to talk about with the short films? Because we keep getting. Well, I love the tangents, but like, so it was Chimera's daughter.
Yeah, Chimera's ghost.
Chimera's ghost. Sorry, and then Thicker Than Blood.
Yeah. Okay. What do we want to say?
I don't know. Okay. So I got to ask the camera nerd stuff, which you're gonna hate.
Yeah.
Chimera's ghost. What'd you shoot on?
We shot on a red Raptor.
Ooh.
Yeah, with ultra prime.
Oh man, who was DP on that?
Rob
Zawatowski.
Zawatowski.
Oh man, that guy's a legend.
He is a legend. You know him.
Yes. No. Yeah. He did milkshakes with me, which is why I have that.
I love that film. That feels very Evil Dead.
Yes.
The camera movements in that.
It was
so
all
fun.
Rob. That was all Rob.
Yeah, very fun film. He did AI artist with me as well, and hopefully we're doing a feature together. So.
Ooh. Can you give me some tidbits on what that feature might be?
I mean, I can tell you it matches the themes of the types of films that I make, maybe taking it to an extreme.
Oh, wow.
But I don't want to talk about it too much because there's been a lot of empty promises, and I just want it to be more green lit before I do. But
that's fair.
But I mean, my goal with this next project is with the films that I'm making right now, is I want to make sure this is packaged in a way that I can pitch it around. So when I go to these festivals, because I don't want to make any more short films, I think I'm good there. These next 2 films really highlight, what I can do, and I want it to be like, well, what does your next project look like? And at least it's kind of like, ready to go.
Is this the pitch deck you mentioned you were working on?
No, it's a different one. But I think as filmmakers, we always find ourselves like, I've had lots of empty have I had a lot of them? No, I've had the right amount of empty promises where a producer sees one of our things and is like, we want to make your next big thing. And then you sit down with them and you're like, what do you want? They want what you want. So then you give them what you want and what you made. And then they're like, that's not what we want. And you're like, but at least I made something, and like we've written some treatments and a couple scripts. And then now this is the thing that we like, at least for me, I really want to make. So no matter what, even if this is an empty promise or something doesn't work out, I'm like, I'm still going to build this. I'm now going to go to festivals and I'm going to pitch this and try to get telefilm funding, or I'm going to bring this around and I'm going to have it ready to go. So if I meet a producer at a festival, I can pitch it to him instantly, So this idea, it's in the same themes of like children. And what I will say, it's kind of like a commentary on the dark web and true life dark web stories that revolve around child predators. I will say that.
I hate to ask, but how was your childhood?
I think that's a different podcast, Rob.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to ask.
I mean, what I'll say is like I had some struggles growing up,
Sorry to hear
but
that.
what they do is I feel like they have inspired me to tell a lot of the stories that I'm telling. And I think like for me, like I came from like if my family came from like drugs and alcohol and like all that kind of stuff. And I'm sober, so I don't drink. That's why we're having these stevia beverages.
I thought you just love Zevia
Yeah,
like I do.
and I like to snort stevia, which is my new replacement.
Hey, that's great.
It tickles the brain differently. But yeah, it's important to me to share stories and inspire people based on things I've been through. Like I'm lucky to have got out of it, and like I don't want to repeat that cycle. So you know,
I'm really sorry
I
to hear
go
that.
no, it's okay. I go through things that help me. I always think that because of the traumas and things that I've been through, it helps me stay inspired and create stories that are going to help people down the road. I have some friends that don't have a lot of trauma and they struggle to tell stories like this. So I'm lucky, I guess.
My parents thankfully were really supportive, maybe too supportive of me.
Yeah, my dad does not want me to do this.
Oh,
Sorry,
dear.
Dad. Not yet. Not until he sees the money flow in. You know what I mean? Then he'll be like, I always believed in you.
My parents have always been, as long as you're happy and not doing too many drugs.
Are they looking for new kids?
Maybe
6 years old.
Yeah, no, maybe.
Yeah.
And I guess so. The thing is that now, from the outside at least, like 30,000 followers on Instagram and TikTok, Smashed Potato Kids is not a small accomplishment. Yeah, it's not a small. It's not a small potato. What would you give advice? Because like making sketches on social media now is really popular, and you guys, it's good content. It's like, I mean, I've definitely watched a lot of them. Have made me laugh and maybe a little offended because I'm a sensitive person.
Hell yeah.
But like, what's your advice for some 18-year-olds who are like, well, I got a DSLR or mirrorless, I know, but like, what do you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like get together with friends, you know, figure out if you guys are on the same page as the type of comedy you love to make. That one was
all right, Rick.
Yeah, sorry. You know, figure out that you guys are on the same page, you want to make the same kind of stuff. I think one of the advices that I got recently was actually from a sketch group that has a show on Crave. And they said to me that their goal, and if you think about this, with every like, let's look at some sketch comedians that have made like features. You got Jordan Peele. You have I don't know his name, Zach something, the guy who did Barbarian. He came from The Whitest Kids You Know.
Wow.
There's all these people that came from that comedy world or sketch comedy. Their goal was always to become filmmakers or television show creators. And so the beautiful thing about the internet is that is your show. You know, we're always trying to be like, I want to make a pilot and I want to make a TV show. But even from the advice I got from these people who have made this show, they were like, we put all of our favors in to create this, and it didn't make us any money. But what it did was it got people looking at us, and it got people taking us seriously, where we could pitch other ideas to them. And then in turn, that created more opportunities. So what I would say is the internet can be your show. I think that people are looking at views as like a currency to get in a meeting room, because if a person has $1 million and they have someone over here that doesn't have a following or doesn't have views and maybe has made some cool stuff, but you have a few videos that have gone viral, you have a decent following, you have a built-in audience already, and then you can also make movies, I feel like you're going to get an opportunity over that person in the near future. So that's what I say to that. Has that led to any opportunities for us yet? Not exactly, but I feel like we're still working towards it. I've been doing this for 5 years. We've only been doing the reels the way we've been doing it for the last year. So, and we've had our best year yet. So I think we just got to keep doing what we're doing, learn what people are watching and how they like things, and make it short and sweet. Tighten that shit. Don't be attached to these long form bits.
And now I'm going to get you to share some of the gold, because you were saying this before. It was the hooks. You were saying about the hooks, like 5 hooks. Or can you tell me what that was?
5-second hooks. Like essentially content, people, their attention span is, if they are not in the first 5 seconds, they're scrolling away.
So can you give me some example? Like, so you were saying that a lot of your 3-minute sketches have a hook in the first 5 seconds?
Yeah. I mean, it could be, questions are great. Like, you know, like you won't believe what my mom just sent me on my phone. And then you show that thing, and if that's funny and that's the joke, you keep going with that.
So they're there for if you show them that in 5 seconds, they'll be there for 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as long as it's good and funny and it's leading you to figure it out. If you can tell the first joke in the first 5 seconds, and it sometimes can be a visual hook. It can be something that's like a funny picture, and they're like, oh, I want to see where this is going. You'd be like, hey, does this make me look ugly? Show it to your friend, and he's like, hiding back. He's like holding back his tears and laughing at you, and you're like, oh, I want to see where this goes. It's like it's just about figuring out what's gonna keep people's attention, and then telling joke after joke after joke, and then having like a really fun ending. And if you follow all of those guidelines, then people will rewatch and share, and boom. But I mean, that secret's out there. It's not a secret. It's just like people. I will say this, for the longest time, as a filmmaker, as a storyteller, you always want to ease people in. Like when you're telling a story, you kind of are like, you have your establishing shots and you have your like opening dialogue. You get to meet the characters. It's just those rules don't exist in the world of content creation online. If you want to get viral content, it's got to be to the point.
Well, that's actually really informative, and I know it's all out there, but to hear it like in one place quickly is really insightful.
Yeah.
But like, where can people find all of your stuff?
Yeah, so you can find any of our content for sketch comedy at Smash Potato Kids or The Smash Potato Kids. We're on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Our website is www.smashpotatokids.com, and you can find my personal work and all that stuff at Mr. Jessey James on Instagram. And yeah, that's it.
And also, there will be links below this in the YouTube.
Oh yeah,
video.
right there.
Yeah, down there. Well, thanks, man. That was awesome getting you out here, and I can't wait to hear about your next project, and I can't wait to help out with the next year's Smash Potato Sketch Fest.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
Hey, man, it was an honor. AI artist.
Yeah, that's me, baby.
Well, we cheers, but we're out, so.
All good.
Yeah. Oh, there's something left.
That's for us.
Yeah.